Hi, everyone. My name is Leanne Harte. I'm a Senior Manager of Customer Support at Intercom. And today I'm delighted to be joined by Guneet Singh, VP of Customer Experience and Care at AppFolio. Today we're going to explore how AI is reshaping customer experience from ROI to team culture. And we're going to hear Guneet's take on what leaders need to do to succeed in an AI-first world. For years, customer service has been seen as a cost center. But what happens when AI shifts into a real value driver for the business? Guneet, thanks so much for joining us today. It's great to have you here. How are you enjoying Pioneer so far?
So far, so good. No, first of all, thank you so much. It's good to be back here, especially in New York, such a lovely weather. So excited to be here.
Yeah, great stuff. Well, to kick off, we'll get stuck right in. It has been said that AI is giving customer service a long overdue promotion. How do you see it changing the role of support and CX from a cost center to a real driver of growth and loyalty?
So for the long time, services has been seen as pretty much a reactive thing. And with the whole AI over the last several years, it has actually flipped the narrative, flipped the script altogether. Now, AI is not only amplifying, actually it's enabling services to do more what they always wanted to kind of accomplish that. So that is something I will say, it's just the turnaround and transformation that we are in the very day zero of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you on that. And when leaders talk about AI, ROI often gets reduced to cost savings. In your view, what's a better way to think about ROI so it captures the bigger picture?
Yeah, I think it's a good topic. I think when the word ROI comes in, people just jump to the fact that, hey, we're talking about cost.
Yeah.
Or we're talking about profitability. But from my perspective, I think it's more about, creating the capacity. So when I look back over the last, I'll say, couple of years itself, not only it has enabled me to create capacity, it has actually helped me leverage that creative capacity so that I can actually have my frontline, my humans actually do more consultative work, focus on high skill, high value work, drive more adoption, with the customers, be more engaged, have more kind of, emotional conversations, so that customers can actually feel the value. So that's something is the ROI. So when you think about ROI, not from a bottom line, but also from top line perspective, as we get more capacity, let's repurpose that for top line.
Yeah, absolutely. We're seeing that at Intercom as well. We've been doing so much work with consultative support and being more proactive, and we have the space to do that now, which I think is amazing. And I think the team loved that, right?
Team loves that. I think what it does is also AI comes in, helps kind of, automate the mundane tasks and also repetitive pieces that frees up capacity. Also, it levels the playing field. As Copilot, Finn is coming in, people are seeing like, hey, now no longer I need to spend 6 months just listening, just learning and leveling up to tier 3, tier 4. I can go in and I can have confidence that somebody's there to partner along with me, and that is Finn.
Yeah.
So that's something is really amazing.
Yeah, I love that. That's really cool. Yeah, okay. Well, like kind of switching over a little bit when we're talking about OI as well. Like when you speak to executives and even to your board, how have you framed the economics of AI in a way that's really resonated? And like what's made those conversations land?
So other than the fact that it doesn't get me in trouble, this is a question, which I think goes back to the fundamentals. You got to speak the language that your board understand, that your finance folks or your marketing folks understand. So when I'm talking to the E-level, the way I'm framing this is more like capacity elasticity. It is helping me actually stretch my human knowledge with the use of AI and repurpose that capacity itself. It's a gain. That is actually helping me put my level of effort into adoption or consumption. So that's how I'm framing that with the senior leaders.
Yeah. And how did those conversations land? Like, it's obviously working, right?
It is working because I think because I'm speaking the language, I'm trying to kind of, say, hey, yes, we need to scale, but without burning the bank.
Yeah.
And why we need to scale, not only to resolve, but also to help customers actually realize the value, engage more in a consultative manner rather than troubleshooting. Gone are the days then we are only focused on resolution. We should need to shift towards more of restorative kind of, framework.
Yeah. It's amazing because I think there was a little bit of a fear around AI coming in and taking over over the industry, but actually it's making the jobs more interesting. It's making the role of customer experience more interesting, I think. So yeah, I think that's great.
No, you're right, because I think what's happening is with any new technology or any new change that is introduced, there's a tendency to kind of resist to that change. And that is because people don't know what it's going to do. Why are we bringing that in? So the more sooner we can educate what is the purpose of this particular technology or this particular AI that is coming in, it helps accept the change.
Yeah.
And the minute people accept the change, they become the promoters and the champions of that. And that's what we've seen. Once we educated our frontline leaders about the benefit of using that, it is not to replace the jobs. It is not to kind of, let people go or reduce the cost itself. It was more to augment their roles, because we don't want them to spend time on basic, work. They've learned, let's kind of, up level that.
I love that. Yeah, it's so true. It really is a really exciting time, I think, and for all of us in these roles.
Yeah.
And so yeah, as AI takes on more of the load, let's talk a little bit more about what this does mean for the people on CX teams. Like we were talking earlier about the difference and what's shifting in the terms of like roles, skills, and even the culture of these teams. And I know that you're sort of changing the role titles and things like that. So how are the team finding it?
So it's an opportunity. I think the key word is upskilling.
Yeah.
It is, if you don't embrace upskilling by default, technology will force you to.
Yeah.
So that's kind of helping us think through it, is people who were actually, let's say, for example, I do have a content team. People who were in the content production role, now they're becoming content experience designer. So we're trying to kind of help them understand, what are the human, design skills that we need to think about as we design interactions between AI and human. They are the best suited, because they have the product expertise, they have the knowledge. Now we need to kind of combine them with the user experience skill. So those are the kind of evolution I'm seeing. On the support side, we're seeing people who were support expert or tier 3 experts or solutions expert. Now they're becoming product champions. Now they're becoming product experts. So they are leveraging that not only to improve the product gaps, but also to help customers kind of, custom the solution itself.
Yeah. Yeah. Amazing. Okay. Following on from that, we know that AI isn't something you just set and forget. So alongside role adjustments, what kind of systems and processes do you think leaders need to put in place to keep AI working optimally?
Yeah, I think it's the mindset. As an organization, you need to kind of, it cannot be just, one and done, or you bring it and then you forget about it. You have to treat that as a capability. If you think AI as a feature or as an add-on or as a next new flavor, then you're going to have some trouble. So you have to treat it as a capacity or a capability itself, because then you're going to have more programmatic approach. How do you kind of, go back to the customers? How do you go back to the front line, take the inputs, what's working, what's not working? You have to run it as a program so that you can continuously improve that. You have to put guardrails in place. You have to say, is it delivering the outcomes? Because what I'm also seeing is, people talk about bringing AI and everything else, and then nobody's talking like, what's the real benefit? What's a real, we talked about ROI. What's the real impact? Because unless you're a nonprofit organization, you're here to improve your top line, also your bottom line, but most importantly, your customer's experience. Why? Because the more sooner you do that, the more sooner customers will have trust and loyalty, for you. And that can only come if you have strong governance in place. So to sustain that, you have to make it more programmatic.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that is another key area that's, so important, that there's always that human in the loop, that we have, that checkpoint, that we're constantly improving the resources that AI is feeding from. Like, I think that's hugely important as well. So, yeah, I think that's a great point, great insight. Okay, let's talk about metrics. So many of the old CX metrics don't really fit with an AI first approach. Which ones do you think leaders should be paying more attention to right now?
I have a personal belief, every customer, every interaction matters, but especially it becomes challenging when you are a for-profit company or you're a public company. You can't treat every customer from a same financial lens. But then how do you drive the same level of experience or keep the experience parity across all your customer base? So first thing is measure. You have to measure, is the experience really good? Traditional metrics like, CSAT, NPS, CES have been great, but they are only judging only a sample of the customer base. They're not looking at the entirety of a population. So when I see things like CX score, that's kind of, the thing. It's giving me ability to measure each and every interaction. That is the key, because now I can actually, instead of relying on a sample, I can go to the population and see what's working, what's not working, where the breakage is happening, or where the product is failing. It's not coming only for the 5 customers I'm speaking to. It's coming from an entire population. So those are the metrics that are evolving and I feel are the key for the next kind of years to come.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. We're seeing amazing kind of results from the CX that we're looking at, the CX score that we're looking at now. And again, it's amazing to be able to look. You're so right. It's the 5 customers who decided to rate in the past, right? That was the whole thing. And now we can look at every single conversation, make sure that we're really like honing in on like what's working and what's not working. And I think we're getting a bigger picture now. Thinking about your own experience, I'd love to hear what your biggest challenge has been so far leading through this shift, as well as your most exciting learning. So a couple of things there.
If I have to pin down one, I'll say it's a trust. It's a trust, like whether this solution or this technology or AI will actually do something. Because there's a lot of hype over the last several years, but people don't see. And I think the issue comes to people don't spend time defining what exactly are they trying to solve for. And that is the biggest challenge. And that erodes the trust in the technology or the software or the solution itself. You may be having the best model, but if you're not defining what purpose I'm going to use it for, then it's going to erode the trust in your leadership or in your front line. So you have to kind of, focus on trust. And trust comes with, you got to go narrow on defining what are you trying to solve.
Yeah. So that's the biggest challenge.
Yeah.
What's the most exciting learning that you think?
So the most exciting learning is if you stay humble and be kind of, vulnerable to your organization and say, you don't know all the answers. So you have to be very real, because just because you're bringing a technology or a solution doesn't mean that you know all the answers. You have to co-create, you have to go with them to discover and then find those answers.
Absolutely. Okay, great. We're flying through. So my final question for you is, what's one belief or assumption that you think CX leaders need to let go of if they want to succeed in this AI first world?
I think the biggest piece for me is let go this assumption that AI is a silver bullet. Period. AI is here to help scale the human knowledge. That's something is there. And then the biggest piece, from a human standpoint is they go back and they scale the trust. So they need to kind of hang on to that. They need to let go the belief that AI is going to solve everything. It's only going to help scale the knowledge piece. And then they need to repurpose the humans to build and drive more trust.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point and a really good way to kind of wrap things up is, I think there are some people who feel like AI is going to like completely change everything for the worst, and then loads of people who think it's going to change everything for the better, and I think it's going to fall somewhere in between, and it's about figuring out how we work with it.
Yeah, it's just realizing that, hey, it's not going to solve everything.
Yeah.
And then also going back to your point of humans in the loop, you have to go back to your talent.
Totally.
Because they know the emotions. They know how to kind of connect emotionally with the customer itself. And that is the foundation for the trust.
Absolutely. I love it.
Right.
Thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure.
It's been so lovely chatting to you today. It's so interesting to hear how other organizations are approaching this time of transformation and making AI work best for them. We're going to continue following what you do and really look forward to hearing and learning more from yourself and the AppFolio team. Really appreciate your time and enjoy the rest of Pioneer.
Great. Thank you so much for having me.